What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 25 of Value Town. I'm your host, ChanManV, and actually, we got Trump and Savjz in different slots today. But I want to welcome my co-host each and every week, Trump, and we got our guest today, Savjz, joining us. What's up, Savjz?
Not much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. It's good to have you on. Have we had you on before? I can't remember.
Not on Value Town, no.
Okay, so it's always good to have you on for the first time, and it's been long. It's a long time coming, actually. I mean, you're such a great player, and obviously we talk so much decks and analyze different classes and that sort of thing. So it only makes sense to have you on. And today we're talking about the Druid, so it's perfect because you've been playing a lot of Ramp Druid this week, or just for a while now. So definitely great stuff. But yeah, any news this week from any of you guys? Any cool findings or anything? Well, actually, we're going to be talking about the curse thing in just 1 second. But anything cool going on in the ladder with you guys?
Hunter. I streamed Hunter all day yesterday. I got like rank 3 on NA highest. It's Savannah High main suddenly makes the warrior matchup not that bad. So I'm kind of excited about that because I have been avoiding Hunter simply because of the warriors. Because when you see a warrior, you know you're gonna lose with the older lists. But now with the Savannah High mains, it's suddenly all right. You might still lose, but your chances are pretty fair.
It still is, yeah. Definitely I've been seeing equal. That kind of control mid-range hunter versus just the crazy aggro one. So definitely, it is nice seeing some different types of hunters on the ladder. Trump, you've been seeing some of those Savannah High main. So what's some other Deadly Shot? I mean, you're seeing those kind of cards, right, in that deck.
Yeah, I saw a few of those at the end of last month, and some of them at the beginning of this month too. It's a cool bit of change.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Very cool. But okay, so why don't we start off with talking about the big news that Savjz had this week, which is he has just joined Curse. And it's big news for Curse too, because Curse didn't have a Hearthstone team before, and Savjz, you're leaving Team Doggy House, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on that since you were one of the main players, if not the best player on Team Doggy House. So yeah, I want to get your thoughts on that and what that maybe means for Team Doggy House.
Well, first off, I want to say that we are still really good friends with everyone in the Doggy House, and there was no drama or anything like that. And like they are all right with me doing this thing, and everything is cool.
That's good.
It was like a great opportunity for me. I've had quite a few offers during the last months, but this one was really like a lot better than any of the other, and it seemed like a really good choice, and I'm happy that I joined Curse.
Okay, I mean, what about joining, I guess, Curse, like, that you can say that you really liked compared to some of the other offers? Because there are, like you said, there are a lot of other teams, and there are a lot of other teams that have players too. So you're the first player on Curse, so there's no other, maybe practice partners and that sort of thing from as far as team goes, right?
Well, I want to say that about the practice partner thing, that I'm still like gonna be practicing with the same people I practiced with before, and this is not really going to change anything in that way. Okay. And Hearthstone I think it's more comparable to games like StarCraft and other like individual games, and most events will still be like as individuals. There is the ESGN Fight Night where you battle it out as teams, but that's like the only thing, and I expect that most of the upcoming events will be as individuals, so it's not that big of a deal in a way that I left Doggy House and joined Curse.
Okay. Trump, what do you think of the whole team thing? Because I know you're still. I mean, we're probably Liquid Valley, but Liquid Valley is not really like a team like Curse is, right? Liquid Valley is right now more of a practice group, kind of like Team Doggy House is, I guess, from some extent. What do you think about joining a more established team or a team with a bigger brand?
Yeah, I think that I think you're right, Chris. Team Liquid Valley and Team Doggy House, they're mainly the same type of team. They're just a group of people who practice each other and are friendly with each other, and that's great. joining a team wouldn't change that much, other than really the team benefiting, I think, from getting exposure to Hearthstone. So good on Curse picking up a really good player, and I'm sure Savjz will be a great ambassador for Curse. I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, definitely really, really great. And Savjz, you are a great ambassador for Hearthstone, especially in Europe, from the Europe standpoint too. So I don't know of another European player that's more popular than you right now. I mean, honestly. So really cool that you're going to be on a big name team. Curse, for those of you that don't know Curse, in the Hearthstone community, Curse has a very, very big League of Legends team, and also there's various other esports too. So they're very established, really, really cool. Got a great site, and yeah, should be great, man. But what's next for you? What's the next event for you? So if it's kind of with the sporting the curse jersey here.
Yep, the first time I'll be wearing the Curse jersey will be at DreamHack Bucharest, which is in in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And they are, well, simply put, they are enabling me to go. Like, if I didn't join the team, I probably wouldn't be going. I'm really happy with that. We'll be going there. There will also be Knimsh and Eko from Doggy House, and at least Lothar from I'm not sure what team, but anyway, like people I know already.
Yeah.
And we are gonna have a blast, and we have actually been talking about the decks together and kind of preparing for it together. We haven't done much play testing, but we have kind of figured out the decks that we will probably be running. We won't run the exact same decks, and some classes might differ too, but like the general ideas that what might be the best call, we are like sharing thoughts on that. So we are still with the Doggy House guys and everything. We are still like working together.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's definitely great. I mean, there's really no reason not to, because you might not even face each other, necessarily, and until the very end. So it's definitely great to be able to work together like that. But yeah, DreamHack Bucharest sounds like a really great event. It's going to be, I think, 128 player tournament. It's going to be the closest thing to an open tournament, or it might be just open. Compare it.
Yeah, it is open, and it's really brutal in the structure. I might knock it out on round 1. It's a card game. And with 128 people, the chances are, like, no matter how well I play, in a single elimination best of 3, even if I play like really, really well, it's more likely that I don't get to the top spots. Just have to face the facts. But I do think that my chances are like one of the best chances to get through all of that. But yeah, really looking forward to it, and I think it's a good opportunity also to see like what DreamHack as an organization is kind of wants to do with Hearthstone. And I don't have like any like solid facts about this, but I think they're at least looking to it to have it on all of the DreamHack events, which are like 6 during the year. So if it like works out and there will be people watching that, I think they might have these events, and I will be traveling to most of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for me, it's like I think there's no question that people will be watching it. I mean, given like how well even the 4-man invitational thing did at ESL, Katowice, this DreamHack is definitely on the same par, along the same lines as the ESL or the IEM event. So I expect kind of the same thing, and this is going to be a bigger tournament too than not just a 4-man invitational. So I expect a lot of great things from it. DreamHack, the organization, and all those guys are really great things. They always put up a great production too. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun for you guys. Excited to see that. Trump, are you gonna be going to DreamHack or flying over to Bucharest or no?
It's so far away. No, no plans for me.
It really is. Man, for you especially over in the West Coast, that's really far. It might be exactly on the other side of the world for you. Pretty close, right?
Yeah, pretty close.
I think so. Yeah. But all right, guys. Well, why don't we talk some decks? Why don't we talk some cards and go into our Druid talk? That's kind of what we were going to focus on today with having Savjz on, and Savjz has been playing the Ram Druid for the last several weeks. I just every time I remember looking at or watching your stream just the last couple two or three weeks, and you were already starting up on the Ram Druid and really having a lot of success. So why don't we talk about that? Yeah, let me flip over here. All right, so what I've done is I've listed, or I've kind of showing Savjz's Druid deck on the right there, and then I kind of threw up something to kind of compare it to, which is just like your standard Watcher Druid on the left. just so that we can, just have some talking points. But Trump, let me get your thoughts first before we have Savjz kind of go in depth into it. What are your thoughts on the ramp Druid right now?
All right. Well, the closest thing that I could find a comparison to, is it looks somewhat similar to the warrior control deck. It has a lot of late game, and the goal is to get there, although with just different means. I was skeptical at first when I looked at the deck because there's no early drops, but there is, of course, the Innervate and the Wrath and the Wild Growth, but it's just if the Zoo gets like a 1 and a 2 and a 3 on you, I find it pretty difficult, I would say. But I've always said that the key to this particular metagame right now is to be able to beat Zoo and Locke, Zoo and Hunter. And I don't know, if Savjz thinks he's found it, then I trust him.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the biggest concern for me too, is against those matchups.
So it's actually really interesting because out of those two matchups, Hunter is like one of the easiest matchups ever. Hunter I beat like 90% of the time, but Zoo is really difficult. It's like the only thing keeping this deck in a bay, kind of. I mean, I've been doing fairly well with this, and on season 4, on the last day, I was rank 11 on EU and rank 12 on NA with this exact list. And right now, I was playing it today, and just before we started the show, I hit rank 9. I worked it from 80 or something. So it does kind of work, but yeah, it's really slow. It beats all the other control decks. It even like the only control deck that it might struggle with is Handlock. If they drop a Mountain Giant and you don't have the big game Hunter.
Yeah.
But I haven't found a deck this consistent against control decks of all sorts before.
So if you compare it to the Watcher deck, just from the standpoint of, I guess, which matchups it's good against and that sort of thing, overall, I'm guessing that you think the Ramp Druid is better than the Watcher Druid. I think that's kind of self-explanatory there, but I guess what parts of it do you think is better?
Wild Growth is amazing. I mean, if you play against something that isn't like really fast and aggressive like the Zoo, you can imagine if you get the Wild Growth on turn 2, on every single turn you will always be making a more powerful play than your opponent is, and the card quality is really high. So it's like with the ramp, you will never really run out of gas. And it seems, I think against control, it's not that reliant on the draws at all, like the standard Druid might be. Like, it's really, with the standard Druid, dropping a Yeti on turn 4, like if you miss that, if you drop a Yeti or you hero power, it's huge. It's like, it can decide if you win or lose the game. But if you miss a drop on turn 4 with the ramp, I don't think it's that big of a deal necessarily. So I think it's like slightly more consistent, but it is worse against, for example, the Zoo.
I mean, the biggest thing that's missing, but there's definitely little tweaks, just against aggro and that sort of thing that Watcher has. But the biggest thing that's missing is a Savage Roar Force of Nature combo, which I've always felt gave the Druid this large amount of range at the end of the game, right? To do up to 16 if you have Claw, right? That sort of thing, right? How do you think that compares to the ramp? So because the ramp doesn't have that option at the end.
It doesn't need it. The strategy is very different from the regular Druid, where you kind of finish the game with the Force of Nature Savage Roar. The deck plays out almost the same way as a priest does, and you just outlast your opponent. You take it to the very late game, and you are like, you don't run out of cards. You're just dropping these taunts every single turn. You have so many taunts in there. If you run out of taunts, then you use Mark of the Wild or something. Give it
Right.
like you can count the taunts from there. There's quite a bit. And yeah, you just take it to the very late game, and you can really like hold off the aggression.
Yeah, all those taunts are exactly why it's good against Hunter,
Yeah,
right?
so you don't take it to the fatigue, but you go pretty close to that. Like, you're not really trying to kill your opponent fast. Like the regular Druid is kind of like you're looking for the opportunity all the time to finish the game as fast as you can, and you're like trying to find that spot where you can deal the killing blow.
Yeah.
But with the ramp, you can just sit back and relax and just wait for your opponent to run out of steam because your plays are stronger.
Yeah. Trump, is there a card in the ramp druid that you think is kind of interesting and maybe want to ask Savjz why he added it?
Yeah, I mean, the deck looks good enough against control that I would consider taking out one of the 9s, like Alex Strauss or Ysera, for something earlier. What do you think about that?
I think you made really good observation there. I think Alex Strasa is the one card that I'm not sure if it's necessary, but I think the Ysera is definitely worth playing. I have actually had someone else has said to me that they also think that the Ysera might not be necessary, but from all the games that I've played, I think it's really good. It really gives you the last push against some other control decks. Once you have, for example, against Warrior, once you have baited out the executes with some other cards, there's plenty of stuff for them to execute. Then you drop the Ysera. It wins you the game. You just after that you are dropping your taunts one by one. You try to find the one spot where it doesn't get executed. Then after that it just draws you cards and you are dropping taunts to survive. And
yeah,
I think it's really important. But the Alex Strasa, it's been good, and I like it in the deck. It gives you some extra healing. Even against Hunter, it's actually can be kind of good. And in some other matchups, against Control, if you have a decent board, you can go aggressive on your opponent with it, and get them really low. I just think that once they add more cards, it will be replaced with something else. It will maybe now be replaced with maybe Onyxia or something like that. But that wouldn't really work out, and I don't think the Alex Strauss is a perfect fit. But the deck needs another late drop, and it can afford another late drop. So it's out of the other options, I think it's the best one you can have when there's already Scenarios and Ysera and Ragnaros.
I see.
Okay. I am notoriously stingy when it comes to cards that don't affect the board state. How important do you think the Healing Touch is?
It's extremely important against Hunter, especially. That's the card that gives you the final push against that. But also you have plenty of creatures that you can heal up with it, and with the Auctioneer you can cycle it for another card. And the thing is that because there's so many expensive cards, the mana curve is really high. If you compare it to the standard Druid, you can just look at just the numbers. Don't even look at the card names. It's way more expensive, so you can afford to hold on to the Healing Touch, and you can still spend all of your mana playing the other cards. You can still have efficient mana, and you can have it sit in your hand basically until you can solidify with it. It's also, for example, against Warrior, you hold on to it until they Alex Strasa you. Then you deal with the Alex Strasa, you Healing Touch yourself, and the game is over.
Yeah.
There's no way to lose after that. So against Hunter, you just heal up whenever you go too low, and against Alex Strasa decks, you heal up after the Alex Strasa. Also against Handlock, it does the same job.
Yeah, the life gain there is pretty high. I mean, we got 18 plus whatever Alex can do for you, right? That's usually the formula to crush a Hunter. I do have a question about mulligans. How do you mulligan against? I know the matchup against Zoo is pretty bad. So how do you mulligan against Zoo with this?
Against Zoo, you want the Innervates, you want the Rots, you want Swipes and Keeper of the Crows. Those are the good stuff. And if you have a Wildcraft, you should keep it too. I mean, Wildcraft is still great.
Okay.
But basically, even though you are likely to lose, the times when you do win is when you innervate into a Keeper of the Crow to kill off something like a Knife Juggler. That gives you a nice edge. And from there on out, it kind of snowballs. So those are the innervate Keeper of the Crow. That's the best play. And just, maybe those 8. If you never draw a swipe, also during the first 6 turns, if you don't have a swipe, you lose every time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it.
That's the story of Zoo right there.
It works against Zoo is that you just have to keep clearing them with the hero power if it's 1 toughness, clear with the Rot and the Keeper if it's more than 1.
Yeah.
And then you in mid game during turn 5 to, well, maybe not 5, on 6 to 7, if you manage to get there, then you try to Mark of the Wild something big. or make something bigger, like Mark of the Wild the Keeper and drop like a Druid of the Claw taunt in addition.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Mark of the Wild, it seems like that's often the card that you can like stabilize the board with. But usually you don't get there, and you don't draw the Broads and the Keepers consistent enough.
Right. What about, I guess, when you're playing control? Like if you're playing Handlock, for instance, what do you, like basically what are you dumping everything for? Like what are the cards that you just have to have against Handlock?
Against Handlock, you have to have the Big Game Hunter for the turn 4 Giant.
Yeah.
If you have that, you are almost certainly going to win the game. Because the Big Game Hunter, it doesn't just kill a Giant when it comes to the play. The 4/2 body is actually very much relevant against Handlock. Because it doesn't die to a Mortal Coil. They usually have to Soulfire it, and getting a Giant and a Soulfire with one card, it's amazing. But also the Keeper of the Crows, that you just have to use those on Twilight Drakes.
Mm-hmm.
If you are using the Keepers on anything else but a Twilight Drake to silence, you are probably playing it wrong, unless the situation is like some kind of really unique and it seems like the only play or something like that. But silencing the Drakes and hunting the Mountain Giant, those are the key plays, I think.
So I guess, leading or kind of following up with that, how do you molly against Warlock right now, given that Zoo and Handlock are quite different, just on how you deal with it?
I'm mulligan for the Zoo, because that's what most decks are. Like 9 out of 10 decks on the ladder are Zoo.
Yeah.
So I just throw away the Big Game Hunter, and then I'm really sad if it happens to be Handlock. I don't draw it back and they drop
Yeah.
the Giant.
Yeah, I know that feeling. That really sucks. That's why Warlock's so good right now. It's tough to read, or tough to figure out what it is right from the get-go. Okay, yeah, I mean, I think this deck is great. I mean, Cenarius, talk about that. Because I think a lot of Druid decks have, I think in the past, like in the standard, the Watcher Druid, for instance, it's kind of mutually exclusive. Either you run Cenarius or you run Rag. Compare Cenarius to some of the other kind of 8 mana, 9 mana options there.
It's an excellent empty board play, and something that you usually play before things like Ysera.
Okay.
The 2/3 ants are actually kind of tricky to deal with for most decks, unless you are very far behind on the board and they have a bunch of stuff already.
Yeah.
But the power that it gives, what would it be, 9 attack and 12 toughness in total. It's really good that it's spread out on multiple bodies and that they are taunts. And the 5/8 for the main guy is really excellent stats, and it gets the execute. So it's like Cenarius doesn't win you the game, but it soaks up a lot of cards from your opponent. And it's setting up for the more important cards.
Yeah.
I think it's really excellent.
Okay, so how do you rank Druid right now? Actually, both of you guys. Trump, I'll ask you first. Where do you rank Druid in I guess the power rankings? And we kind of saw the Liquid Hearth ones recently, but kind of want to get your opinion.
I think it's around 1 to 4. That's a wide range. So I mean, if you really wanted to ask me a number, I'd say number 3, but I think it's very close.
Okay, Savjz, what do you think?
I think 3 is pretty close. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3. We can't ignore the Hunters. I think it's the Buzzard Unleashed thing is just mind-blowingly good. And all the I didn't rank Hunter all that high up in the Liquid Heart thing, because I was thinking that Warrior beats it so confidently. But like I mentioned earlier, the newer versions can fight the Warriors, so I think Hunter would definitely be above the Druid. But then the Druid would be either second or third.
Okay. I mean, I wanted to put an asterisk on my comment also. I think power rankings are dumb.
Yeah, that's. I can kind of agree to that to some extent. I mean, it's kind of nice to see. I mean, it gives you a general sense at least what's successful on the ladder, right?
Hold on. You're the guy who makes the tier lists for the arena picks. What's the difference? I think those are kind of similar.
Okay, that's a good point.
Ooh,
that's a
okay.
good point.
Let me clarify then. When you're ranking the classes, I think that's more dumb than arena tier lists, because when you're ranking classes, it's supposedly all the classes are supposed to be balanced and they're like near each other. And I know Paladin, Mage, Priest, they're getting very underrepresented, and maybe there's no way to make them work right now. But I consider number 1 to 6 to all be viable, which is the other classes, which are not those. So like I would put those 6 like up there, and then like the bottom 3 would be like, oh, well, maybe you'd have to make it work. And even Priest, I'm willing to put the Priest into the top 7, and then only and the Paladin Mage like is something that I can't
You really
really
think you really think the Paladin's that? I mean, even some of those decks recently, Specialist got to number 2 with that Paladin deck.
Okay, that's
and
a
it was-
good point.
I
So
mean,
we'll
that's pretty
put
good.
Paladin in the top 8 also, and then we'll just have that Mage, that poor Mage, be on the bottom. So
Poor
in
Mage.
other words, like 1 to 8, all the classes, 9 Mage.
Okay. All right.
I can
Okay.
understand the thinking you have there, but I think that if you played more constructed lately, and because I've been playing it like mad, I think that it comes more like clear, like where the classes stand. I think that if you played like 1,000 more games, you would have like stronger opinions on what ranks above others. But I do agree to a certain extent. Like for example, I wasn't able to say that if Druid would be rank 2 or 3, and it's a lot more like fuzzy and more difficult to say. But I do think that there are like a lot of like similarities to the arena thing. I think
I mean,
that's
I have a
enough.
counter argument then. If you think Druid is 2 or 3, then why are you playing Druid?
Because I enjoy the Druid a lot, and exactly I think it fits my playstyle the best. Because I really like to take it to as late game as possible, and I don't think Priest is viable. So
Hunt, I mean, you could play Hunt. You could play Warrior, right?
so it's
Yeah.
like my favorite deck. But if I was like just try-harding, I think I would be playing Hunter. Like I was playing it yesterday, and I think that might be it. But also like the tournaments and all the show matches and the tournaments both online and offline, they require multiple decks. So I kind of feel like I have to keep playing multiple classes, and I also think that it kind of benefits me more as to becoming a better player.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a good argument, and my question wasn't all that fair. All right, let's talk about this deck a little bit more.
All right.
Would you say it's tilted a bit more as anti-control or anti-aggro, even though I know it has chances against both? There's, of course, changes you can make within it to make it better against one matchup or the other. Which one have you aimed for?
It's more anti-control. It's even though you see like a lot of taunts, it shines against other control decks because it has really strong draws and lots of expensive cards. So not only do you like draw a lot of cards, but the card quality is really high. And I think only the warrior deck that you maybe a bit like compared it to earlier for having like similar cards. I think warrior is the only one with as high card quality as this one, but the druid on top of that has the ancient of lords for draw and stuff like that. So there's like no weak. If you look at the list on the lower end, the cheap cards are all spells, and you have the auctioneer you can cycle it with. So yeah, it's like drifted. It's an anti-control deck, but it has so many taunts that it does fairly well against all sorts of aggro too, except the zoo, which it is too slow against.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to add here also that it's really horrible against Miracle Rogue. It's so bad against Miracle Rogue. You never want to play this
Really?
against that.
Even though
Yeah.
it has so many